Hey, folks, welcome to the 23rd episode of the Knock&Talk show. I, of course, am your host, Patrick Faulkner, and today's guest is Jesse Myers. He is an Academy brother of mine going back over 20 years. Jesse and I have known each other. And in this episode, we talk about Jesse's past in racing, as well as his current and nearly only assignment in law enforcement, being on the motors unit, and a very important mission that both Jesse and I are on in helping the families of fallen officers. So to find out more, tune in. You're not going to want to miss it. And we'll catch you right after this. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 23rd episode of the Knock&Talk show. And today's host is me, obviously. And my guest today is none other than Jesse Myers, my brother from another mother, and the CEO, founder, and El Presidente of a foundation that we're going to talk about later on in the show. But until we get to that, Jesse, my brother, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Folks, I'm going to be real transparent here. This is the second time we've done the introduction. We got about 10 minutes into the conversation, and I realized I did not hit the record button. So this may seem a little labored here because we've already done this part. But Jesse and I are Academy brothers. We've known each other for over 20 years and worked together for a good number of those. And as I mentioned, he is the founder of a foundation. But until we get into that, Jesse, welcome to the show, and tell us a little bit about who you are.
Sure. Like you said, Jesse Myers. I've worked with the current agency that I've been with for 23 years almost now, 22 and a half-ish or so, and been lucky enough to spend the majority of that in the motorcycle unit, which I've absolutely been a dream for me. Loved it. But through that, I've unfortunately seen the heartache by attending easily over 100 funerals in that time, because it's been 17 years on the unit. And that prompted me to go ahead and found the First Responders Family Foundation. Now, with that, we try to create unique experiences for families that have lost loved ones in the line of duty, not just for law enforcement, but fire and military also. To try and bring that family bond back that they may have lost through sadness.
Yeah, it's an amazing organization, and I am proud to be a part of it. A very small part, but a part nonetheless, because it is important, and we're going to spend a lot more time toward the end of the show discussing the foundation, what it does, what it's for, who it's for, and all of that. But for now, we're going to start chasing rabbits down rabbit holes and start discussing some funny stories from our time together, because I remember a few. And the first one is this. When we got started, we were both hired prior to our academy starting, and we were asked or tasked with working with the technological section of the technological section of the department we worked for in the year 1999. Do you remember the vehicles? Because there were two important ones. The two vehicles that we used the most back there in 1999.
Man, they were some pieces of crap. But yeah, so the one that I remember the most is the Chevy truck that we had to use when we had to take around anything that was heavy.
Yes.
That thing was like a 1982, like on rigid suspension.
Yes.
The tires were not even matched, I don't think.
I don't
The thing was
think they were.
terrible.
It was awful.
It was terrible. It was awful.
It was awful.
It was like gunmetal gray that they had just sprayed rattle canned or something. I don't even
Yes.
know.
Yes.
If you'd have told me it was a county vehicle, I would have been like, "There's no way. You guys
No
just
way.
pulled that out of the junkyard or something."
Yes. Yeah, I believe that was a military donation because Uncle Sam was tired of it and needed to get rid of it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Actually, it probably was. It probably was.
Now, the one I remember the most um, was that little Ford Bronco 2. It was like a 1982 version. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, yeah. Lamar told us to go get lost in the county in it.
He did. Yes, he
Yeah,
threw us the keys
yeah,
and said, "I don't want to see you till 5 o'clock. Go get
yeah,
lost." And
yeah.
and tell us, yeah, it was like doo doo brown, like baby
Oh,
diarrhea doo doo brown,
it's
and it was
pretty.
on. It had a 6-inch lift kit and it had the big 35-inch mud tires on it. The speedometer didn't work, the gas gauge didn't work, and we were told don't speed and don't run out of gas.
Right. Nothing on it made sense.
Nothing.
But
No, and we had that 65-mile-an-hour air. That was
yeah.
it.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
So prior to our academy starting during this time, um, do you remember Y2K?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah,
Sure do.
yeah. So for you youngsters out there that aren't familiar with the Y2K, this was the 1999 rollover into 2000, and there was a huge concern that the banking systems would crash and there would be civil unrest because up until it was like I don't know, March or April of 99, people didn't realize that all the banking codes just used 2 digits for the year,
Right.
right? And they thought it was going to send everything back to 1900.
Yes. Yeah. And
Yes.
everything was going to crash.
It was all going to crash. Yes. So we, as an uncertified law enforcement officers, haven't been through the academy. We
It
were
didn't even
assigned.
start yet.
Yeah, hadn't even started the academy yet. We were assigned to assist uniform patrol in certain jobs and security details. What were you assigned to?
Yeah, I got sent down the west side, and they didn't know what to do with me, so they stuck me in a car as a ride along, basically, and I rode with Trooper Will, and he
Trooper Will.
that dude. My introduction to the uniform division was
Oh
getting
god.
pepper sprayed on New Year's Eve
Wait,
by Trooper
wait,
Will.
wait. Did you say you got pepper sprayed?
Yeah, sure did. It was fantastic.
Well, I, bro, I've known you over 20 years. How did I not know that you got pepper sprayed that night?
It was a terrible experience. I don't like to talk about it.
Okay. All right. Well, now you have to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like I said, I got stuck with Trooper Will. And for those of you that don't know who Trooper Will is, he worked for the county, but he had to wear that campaign hat at all times whenever he got out of his car. Yeah, man, he looked sharp though. I gotta give it to him. He always looked
Yeah.
sharp.
Yeah.
But I had never met him before. They stuck me with him. We got dispatched to like a fight call at some nightclub down there. So I don't even remember what the call was, but we ended up taking this drunk chick into custody because she was acting a fool. And on the way to jail, we're on 316 heading up there. And all of a sudden, she's got the handcuffs in front of her, trying to break through the cage. Yeah, she had slipped them out from underneath, and she's smashing on the cage with the
Oh wow.
handcuffs. So Will doesn't say a word. He just pulls over underneath the Sugarloaf Bridge. I still have problems going through that bridge. He pulls over underneath the Sugarloaf Bridge, throws open the door, gets out, opens the back door, pepper sprays her. I'm still in the car. He didn't tell me to get out or nothing. Pepper sprays her
Oh my god.
while she's in the car in the back seat, and I'm in the car in the front seat. Well, anybody who knows anything about pepper spray, there ain't no avoiding it if you're in a tiny space like that.
Nope. Nope.
So I'm hacking, choking, snot's flying out of my nose. He
How
pulls her
did I
out.
not know this?
Oh, it was terrible, man. He pulls her out, throws her on the ground, puts the handcuffs, gets the handcuffs off of one hand, rips her back, puts them on behind her again, throws her back in the car, puts it in drive, and we go off to the jail. He never says a word to me. Never's like, "You okay?" Nothing. Like no communication whatsoever.
Oh my God, that is
I'm over
awesome.
there crying, snot's running out of my nose. I'm coughing. I'm like hanging
Oh.
my head out the window like a dog. Yeah, that was my New Year's Eve. How was yours?
Nothing like that. No, I was sent to Southside, and I hung out with the uh, the lieutenant there that night, and we just drove around.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
had no story.
That was that's nice. That
Yeah,
sounds nice.
I
That
mean,
sounds real nice.
in retrospect, yes. I mean, but if we were the next day, if we were trading, like cards, like who had the better, more exciting night, I mean, you would win because mine was we had Burger King. I mean, that was like the most important thing that happened for me.
That's great. I'm happy for you. Like, because my night, I'll never forget it. Let's be honest.
Yeah, no, I mean, I wouldn't. That was, I mean, two things happened. Trooper Will,
Yeah.
right? I mean, squared away, jam up, jelly tight guy.
Oh yeah.
And then
Personality plus.
wait, personality what?
Personality plus. He didn't say a word to me, man. Like no personality whatsoever. But anyway, go on.
No, yeah, and
He's
so
great.
the second thing is you got pepper sprayed. So I mean, you were already prepared for what was going to come weeks down the road.
You said the word wrong. I was scared for what was going to come weeks down the road. Not prepared. Yeah.
Oh my God. I can't believe I have gone 23 years and
Yeah.
I had never heard. Now, all right. This is not your only chick story on 316.
Oh no, yeah, no. I can tell you her exact name, and it happened 23 years ago too. Still to this day. Golly. So yeah,
Yes.
you're gonna bring up her, huh?
Right to it, man. Right to it.
I still have those handcuffs that she bent.
Really?
Yeah.
Are they like enshrined, like in a case, like how not to
No.
get your butt beat by a 95-pound?
Hey, you know what? I learned an important lesson that night.
Yeah. Yes. And what was that lesson?
Your whole life you've been taught, don't hit a girl.
That's right.
Don't hit a girl.
That's right.
Don't hit a girl. Yeah, after that, I started hitting girls. When they needed it, they needed it.
Yeah. When they go from being a girl or a woman to just a perp,
Yeah.
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 So
Exactly.
Jesse had a female prisoner in the backseat of his car, and something similar happened. She came out of her
You
cuffs.
followed me to jail that night, didn't
I
you?
did. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember this now. That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot it was you that followed me to jail that night.
Yeah, because she was already nutting up from the beginning, and
Yeah.
we had already called the jail and let them know we had a Delta coming in, and that Delta was just our code for a troubled.
She's lost her mind.
Yeah, a troubled individual.
Yeah. Yeah.
Misbehaving in the back seat, and we'll go into what happens to that when we get to Sideport in a minute. But Jesse had to pull over because she was now uncuffed and trying to get out. And
Yeah, well, she did escape from one set of my handcuffs, so she needed two.
Yes, she did.
Yeah. And on the way to the jail, she escaped from both of those sets of handcuffs. And then escaped from the handcuffs in the happy chair at the jail too. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
She did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, at the time, the county jail was run by, of course, the SO. And when we would call in a Delta, as soon as you'd roll into the Sally port, the garage door would shut in the front, the garage door would shut in the back, and then 2 columns of file, deputies would come out. And this was before tasers.
Oh yeah, way before that.
There'd be 2 columns in file coming out, and they'd all have the black ass whipping gloves on,
Mm-hmm.
and then one of them would hang back and would have a video recorder going, and they would just open the
Yeah, like the
door.
old VHS though.
Yes,
Like it was
yes.
like yeah,
On the shoulder, zooming
right,
in like way out
right,
here.
right. Like it's eyewitness news there.
Yes. Yeah. And they would open the car door and they would say, I don't care what happened out there. In here, you go by our rules.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. And if you didn't, there was 6 of those corn-fed big linebacker deputies
But
waiting.
she did not.
Yeah, she didn't.
She did not go by the rules, and then they ended up putting her in what was called the happy chair. That
Mhm.
was where locked down her legs, locked down her hands. She got the net over her face so nobody could spit. She couldn't spit
Yep.
on anybody. All that fun stuff.
Yeah.
But she ended up escaping from that too.
Wow. Wow. She
Yeah,
should take that show on the road.
yeah, right. That was probably one of the worst drunks I've ever had to deal with.
Oh, she was
Believe it
bad.
or not.
Yeah, no,
But
I believe it.
she was on drugs too. It wasn't just alcohol. It was like she was on all kinds of stuff. She wasn't feeling no pain, no nothing.
Mm.
I mean, yeah, she was tons of fun. Tons of fun.
Tons of fun. Uh, sorry, I'm pouring some more water into my cup here.
No worries.
So let's back up to the academy.
Okay.
Do you have any funny memories from the at any point in the time? Because it was 16 weeks long, and we started off at almost 30 people in our class from
Yeah, but
all over the country.
you know what's crazy though? What's crazy is like, I talked to other people that have been around for a while, and they're like, yeah, there's like 4 people left from our academy that are still working here. Dude, there's still the majority of the
Mm-hmm.
people from our academy still work there 22.5 years later.
Yeah, we've
Like, I
got
mean, most of them are up in rank now, but I mean, so many of them still work there.
yeah. It was a good group. I mean,
It really was a good group.
we had 2 that probably shouldn't have been in there to begin with, and thankfully they got out. And
Yeah,
then there was one questionable one that, anyway,
right,
because politics. Anyway,
right.
yeah. Do you remember? No, let's go back. So you came down from New York.
I did. I
Okay.
was part of the whole Buffalo crew. Yes.
Yeah. So a few episodes back, Lindsay Perry, our sister from
Okay.
another Mister,
Yes.
was a guest on the show, and she was a couple academies before us, but she
She
was
was.
explaining the hiring process for both up there because she ended up getting certified in New York versus the process down here. What was it that led you to apply, and how did you even find out about this little bitty county in Georgia?
So I was in college at the time, the one semester that I made it.
The one
Uh,
semester.
hey, it didn't
What?
take. It
Hey,
wasn't for me.
whatever. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it didn't take. The one semester that I was in college, so the chief at the time for the department was from Buffalo. So
That's
they
right.
actually started to recruit up in that area, knowing how difficult it was to get a job in public safety at that time in that area. So he knew because he was from the area. So he started recruiting, and I happened to hear about it because I was in a criminal justice program,
Mm.
and I figured, they were giving a test in Buffalo at the time, and I actually skipped that one and then dropped out of college. Well, I don't know if I'd say dropped out. I just stopped going.
Same, same,
But yeah,
same,
same. I
same.
just stopped going. I told them I didn't want to pay them no more, and
Okay,
they said, "Well, don't come no more."
okay.
So we were in agreement
Yeah,
at that point.
fair trade, fair trade. No
Right,
money, no school.
right, right, right. So I then was kind of on their list because I had inquired about it before,
Okay,
and they were doing a test in Pittsburgh for it. I ended up
PA.
driving to Pittsburgh. Yeah, I ended up driving to Pittsburgh to take the test.
Wow.
And the main reason was I really wanted to get a job in that area doing that work. However, I'll just give you an example. The last job that I applied for was for Rochester Police Department, and 5,500 people took the test
Mm.
for 5 positions,
Wow.
and only one of those, because of equal opportunity, was for a white male.
Wow.
So I basically had almost zero shot
Yeah.
unless I was the absolute top scorer, and that was the only way that I was going to get it. So I started looking elsewhere in the country, and I remembered them from when I was in college, and they were still hiring, and had that test in Pittsburgh. Went down there, took the test in Pittsburgh. I was actually in the process for Baltimore PD. Thank God that didn't work out.
Yeah, right? No
Ooh.
offense, guys, gals.
Yeah, no offense to Baltimore PD, but that's a lot rougher area than what I ended up coming through.
Yeah, and I went to high school up in the Baltimore area, and absolutely no way.
That's great. I
Yeah,
remember that you're from.
absolutely
I
no way.
remember they're from there. Yeah, it's. I actually really liked the waterfront when I went down there to do
Mhm.
some of the process and stuff. Like the area is really nice, but like I was there to do the first part of the process, and I don't know, maybe a quarter mile down the road from my hotel, some dude got murdered like right there. He was just laying in the
Surprise.
street.
Surprise,
So
surprise.
yeah, so I was like,
And
I don't
maybe
know.
maybe
Let's see what these other departments are doing.
yeah. Because
There was
that
another
area of
department.
Baltimore that you were talking about, the Inner Harbor, that's the only nice
Yeah,
place of Baltimore.
yeah. Well, that's where they send you to like take the test. So it's like they
Yo,
want you to see that.
yeah.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
look how beautiful it is.
Look at our little city.
Yeah, like my hotel was like right there. They're like that was the suggested hotel. It was like right there. It wasn't on the water, but it was like just back like one block. Yeah, they really tried to sell it up.
Yeah, well, I
Unfortunately.
imagine that suggested hotel was a whole lot nicer than the hole in the wall that you went through when you came through our process.
Oh yeah, actually it was. I stayed at that one in Lawrenceville, right there on Duluth Highway, across from GMC.
Yes, yes.
It was kind of a crap hole. There's no doubt about it. It still is, by the way,
Yeah,
in case
yeah,
you were wondering.
yeah, yeah. It's changed its
Yeah,
name a couple of times. I think it's now just the Meth Inn. I
yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, yeah, that sounds about right.
All right, so to get back to your story, you went to Pittsburgh
Yeah, I went to Pittsburgh, took the
behind the
test.
Iron Curtain to take the
Yep,
test.
yep, took the test and passed the test, and then came down and did the first part. You remember the B pad
The B pad.
part of the interview where you had to watch the TV, like it was a VHS test,
Yeah.
and you had to interact with it like you were
Yes.
the police, like you were
Yeah.
supposed to know what you were supposed to do. I don't know how we hired anybody,
I don't
to
know
be honest with
either.
you.
Yeah, I don't know either. Yeah. Because
They
we
got rid of that
all
like right after us.
did they?
Yeah, like
That's
right after us, they got
shameful.
rid of it.
That's
No,
shameful.
because they're like, well, we're asking you to be the police, but you have no idea how to be the police, so this
Yeah.
is not necessarily a great idea.
I don't know.
Um,
I think it was not, I completely forgot about that part of the process.
oh, I
But
remember it. It was so
I,
awkward.
well, now I remember. Yes, it was very awkward standing
Yeah.
in the middle of a room looking at a
Yep.
TV
Yep.
and pretending to be the police.
Yeah.
And I think that was just there for the comic value, right? For the
Oh, I don't
people.
doubt it. Because I mean, you would say what you thought you were supposed to say,
Yeah.
right? And then there was like 5 minutes of silence where they gave you that time to interact, but my answer was like 3 words, like,
Yes.
"Hey, don't do that."
Yes. And then you're like, can I get a turkey sandwich,
So
Coca-Cola,
then
and a
they're like,
bag of chips?
you're like in this closet all by yourself with a TV,
Yeah.
and there's nothing in there except a TV and you. It was awkward.
Yeah. Very awkward.
Yeah.
I remember that
So,
now.
yeah, so I did that part, did the interview, and they're like, "Okay, this is when like the process took forever."
About 6 to 8
Um,
months.
Yeah, it took forever. So I went back home then after that part, and they're like, "Okay, we'll schedule you if we decide that we like remember the blue book, the
Yes.
29,000 pages of stuff you had to fill out. They're
Mm-hmm.
like, we're gonna look your blue book over. We're gonna think about talk about what you said in this little interview and whatnot, blah blah blah." And I went home, and then they called me and they're like, "Hey, we want you to come back for the physical and some other stuff, the psychological and whatever, right?" I was like, "Yeah, cool. Let's schedule it up." So we scheduled it up, and then you probably don't know this either, but I broke my wrist in between. I was actually supposed to be in the academy before ours.
No, I didn't know this.
Yeah, I was actually supposed to be in the academy before ours. Since I got hired, I would have been in the academy before ours, but I got in I was a bouncer at a bar, and I got
I
in one
knew
of the
that.
fights trying to break it up, and I blew my wrist apart where they had to rebuild it with bone from my hip and screws and pins and all kinds of stuff.
Wow.
And it delayed my process another 6 months. So I
Wow.
was actually supposed to be in the academy before. With like,
Wow.
I think Brookins and them were in that
Yeah.
academy. I was supposed to
Okay.
be in there. I was supposed to be in there.
No, I mean, wait. Didn't you hurt your wrist during the academy afterwards?
It was like re-hurt basically because
Okay.
it wasn't fully healed like it should have been when I started. But they wouldn't let me do the physical until I healed up for that. I spent 6 months in a
Sure.
cast for that thing.
Wow.
So that's the only reason I'm married to my wife,
Because she
because I
was
broke
the
my wrist and it
love
delayed.
of your life.
Yeah, like
No.
that's the only reason I met her.
Oh,
But
okay.
how about that? How about
Okay.
that? No, I
Yes.
mean,
Yes.
we wouldn't be married today if I wouldn't have broke my wrist.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So the night
Because
I broke my wrist is the night I met her.
ah, okay. Isn't it
So
strange how things work out?
it is, man. I would have been gone 6 months earlier if I wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, and
So
imagine who that. I mean,
who knows what I got?
whatever could
I
have
mean,
been.
I got a good one, so I'm gonna stick with it. I'm glad. Sometimes when my wrist hurts, I'm like, yeah, it's a good pain because I got
It's a.
her.
Oh, look at the cheese! Look at the
That's right.
cheese!
She's not even home to hear it.
Oh, well, she can watch this and see that you're telling the entire world.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. It was,
Um,
it was
well, speaking of, because that injury happened during DT, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were doing like the takedowns and stuff where you'd manipulated the wrists and that. Yeah.
Do you remember the goat noises?
The goat noises? No,
Yeah.
I don't remember. Is this when
You
Essex
don't.
tried to take my gun from me?
No, not from you. Not from you, but from Appleby.
Oh, yes. Yes. Man, I had forgot about that.
Yeah.
Dang, you got a good memory. I've had a lot of concussions, so I don't remember stuff like that.
Well, I mean, I remember some things. Like I completely forgot about the B pad thing.
Yeah,
Totally forgot about that.
I
So,
was so awkward in that. That's why I remember it. But
yeah.
yeah,
So
that's right. Yeah.
it's, Essex locked up with him, and Essex is like 9 foot tall, and
Yeah. Pure
Appleby's
muscle,
like
especially back
my
then.
yeah back then. Yeah,
Yeah.
Appleby was about my size back then,
Right.
uh,
Right.
and it was like me squaring up with Johnny Woodard.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
because his hand, when he balled up his fist, was bigger than my face. I mean, he
Right.
was just a massive man. And I think they did
Yeah.
that on purpose,
Hey man, I always picked Essex whenever it came to anything because I knew if I could hold my own at least for a little bit with him, then I
Yeah.
had a shot with just about anybody out there.
Right. Yeah. And I think
Because
that's
he
why
was,
they pair up the big guys with the little guys.
yeah. Well, I'm like a medium sized guy, but he was dumb. He was dumb strong. I mean, there was like nothing you could do.
He
You remember?
was.
You remember when he tried to? It was like weapon retention. He ripped my holster right off of
Yes.
the
Right off
the belt, like the stitches and everything gone.
Yep.
Ripped it
Gone.
off. That was the only
Yep.
because I was actually keeping it from him, and he's like, nope, that's not going to
No.
happen. So he
No.
just ripped the stitches.
He went into excited delirium and just ripped it off.
Man, he was so stupid strong. It was ridiculous.
Oh, God. I forgot.
We
Yeah.
we still spent some time together. Me and Mark still get along good.
Really good. Yeah. I haven't seen him in years. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
his wife
been.
actually was my kid's teacher.
Oh,
Both of them went through, and she taught both of them.
wow.
Yeah,
That's cool.
big connection there, actually.
Wow.
So,
Well,
learn.
let's move out of the academy.
Okay.
Did you earn any nicknames that would rival that of mine? Never.
No, no,
No.
no, no, no. I don't know what you're talking about. No nicknames.
No nicknames.
No.
I think you're lying.
Do you know one? I don't know one.
I know.
I
I don't.
did,
That's why I was asking. But I
I
mean,
blocked
you
it out of
can't
my
go
memory.
you can't go 23 years without earning one. I mean, I've had like 3 in that one
No,
agency by itself.
yeah, no, I guess I don't screw up as much as you. I don't know.
Oh, there we go. All right, so
Nah,
um,
every once in a while I get called Messy Jesse, but that's about it. But that's things get messy sometimes, but that's it.
things do. Things
Yeah,
do. Excuse me. Pollen. Hate it. I had
yeah, it's hard.
I never had spring allergies till like last year.
Yeah,
And
getting
I've
old.
started develop. Yeah, getting old sucks.
It
Ah,
does.
jeez,
It
it
really
does.
does.
So,
Yeah.
episode 1, I had a motors officer
Did you?
from LAPD. Yeah,
Okay.
he brought up a term that I'd never heard before. Like there was a distinction between motors officers and non-motors officers, and that
Yeah, it's the
distinction
tight
was
pants mostly.
he called non-motors people straight legs.
Straight legs. Yeah, we don't use that around here actually.
No,
I've heard it, but
you
it's
have
not.
okay
Yeah, I've heard it, but we don't actually use that around here.
because
Yeah.
apparently as he was coming off of uniform and into motors, he didn't have the pantalontes
Mm,
with the motors boots.
that's right.
He was still wearing his typical UPD uh, pants, and
Yeah.
everybody was calling him straight leg until he got the pantalontes.
Yeah, the other thing is we call you guys cagers, but that's not around here
Oh,
either. That's another thing that's another term that's used. We don't use any of them around here actually, believe it or not. Like
all
we
right.
don't have any
So
of that
any
vernacular.
slang to differentiate the motors folks from us peons on patrol?
Nah, just motors. That's it. That's all we use
Just
around
motors.
here. Yeah,
Okay.
just straight up. There's motors and then there's the rest of you guys.
Oh, all right. I mean that's total elitism, right? Just
We got a
hey,
little bit of elitism.
we are what we are. We're motors.
We do. I'm not gonna lie. We do have a little. Motors guys have a little bit of elitism, but it takes a lot of work to do what we do. You
Oh,
know,
yeah. I've never been on a
uh,
motorcycle ever.
yeah, you'd be a mess if you tried to do what we do.
Mm.
But it
I
does. It takes a ton of work, man. So I think that's where that comes from a little bit. Is
mm,
and then we get tasked with all them special details and all the special people and stuff like that too. So I think that's where it comes along from. But really, I think it's the work that has to go in to do what we do safely.
mhm.
Because we got all the same dangers that the guys in cars have, but now our doors are really thin. So
Or
uh,
non-existent.
or non-existent, yeah, however you want to look at it. You know, but I think that's where that comes from a little bit. Is just the work.
Attention veteran business owners. Do you want an easy way to be certified as a veteran-owned business? Do you want a better way to show it off in the same hard-charging fashion as our old unit patches? Do you want an easier way to be found and get business write-ups, more interviews, social media promotion, and more? avboa.net has your six. Get access to over 20 hard-charging digital badges for web and social media shares that shows you are a certified veteran-owned business. You've earned it. Show it off. Visit avboa.net today and use code KNOCK6, that's KNOCKSIX. Get your digital badge today. Right. So speaking of that work, any stories of from like either the motors training or out riding around like John and Ponch?
Oh man, well, of course you always feel that way. I can tell you right now, I've never passed a building that I can see my reflection in without looking at it. But I mean,
That's
even I think I'm
awesome.
cool. Even I think I'm cool. I'm just saying,
Yeah,
you
fair
know.
enough. Yeah. All right.
Uh,
So black leather or the brown leather? Are you Ponch or are you John?
I don't know, we're totally black leather. Although mine is so old and weathered now, it's getting kind of a gray look to it. But I love it. It's like wearing a sweater. It's so old and worn in now. It's like wearing a sweater.
Perfect.
But yeah, no, yeah. I mean, all kinds of crazy stuff happens out there, man. We bounce off of each other sometimes. I think he's going straight and he ends up turning right, and we bounce off each other. Sometimes you go to put the kickstand down, it doesn't want to stay. The bike falls over, and you got to do a traffic stop sitting on the side of your motorcycle. There's all kinds of stuff that happens. We just don't talk about it. That's all.
I don't think I have ever seen a motors guy using his bike as a bench, writing out a citation.
Up against the median wall, 85 southbound at 316. I've done it.
Okay.
I've done it.
All right.
One of the other guys I got is a great story. It's not me, but it's a great story, so I'll share it with you. But
yeah, please do.
It was back when we had the BMWs, so they sit a lot higher than like the Harley Davidsons do, right? And he was running some speed detection on 316, and when he went to put the kickstand down to stop a guy, his one tire, they were doing construction there, so his one tire was like on the blacktop and his other tire wasn't on the blacktop. So when he went to put his foot down, it was more like nothing but air, right? So it was like a slow fall over onto its side. And
he just
left it there, did the traffic stop, because now it's like at a weird angle. He couldn't get it up. So he leaves it there, does the traffic stop, writes the guy the ticket because, motors guys ain't going to let nobody go.
No.
But, he comes back and he calls for help on the radio, and says, I need, we used to have private line. We still do, actually, but we had private line back then where we could call each other. It's almost like a phone through the radio. And he called one of the other guys, and he's like, I need you to come over here and help me pick my motorcycle up. Now, Violator's gone. He's laughing his ass off, but he gone. And in the meantime, while he's sitting on his bike on the side of 316, some dude pulls up, and he's like, hey, man, did you fall down?
Did you fall down?
And he's like, nope, parked it like that. So the dude's like, okay, you want help picking it up? He's like, nope, I believe I'm just going to ride it out. And the guy's like, all right, then. And then just takes off. He's like, just going to ride it out. He's like, he just took off. He believed him. He believed he was going to just ride it out.
Wow.
There's been craziness that happens, but it's a lot of fun, which is why I've been there so long.
Yeah. Well, you've been blessed to be in that same unit for over a decade.
17 years, man. July 4th will be 17 years. July 4th was 2005 was my first day on motors. And it's been a dream, honestly. I'm hoping to finish it out.
Yeah, that's sort of unheard of at that department, being left alone in a position, in a
that you actually like.
Yeah.
Usually they get wind that you like it, and they're like, "Oh, gotta move."
Gotta go.
Exactly. No, I've been really lucky. I almost screwed up and took the corporal's test and passed it, and they wanted to promote me, and I was like, thanks, but no thanks. I'm going to just stick it out. I just wanted to see if I could still have the knowledge, to be honest with you, to go back and do all the things that I should be doing. But I been talking with my wife and talking with other people that I look at, as mentors. I realized that where I am is where I want to be, and I would be miserable for the end of my career versus I've enjoyed it for so long and I want to keep enjoying it.
Yeah. And that's unfortunate that sometimes in this career field you have to make that decision. Do I get promoted to step up my career to the next level, or do I continue down this path of what I'm enjoying right now? Because if you do this, you're losing this.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, 100%. That's one of the problems that I feel that our department has is like, I understand it's for needs and whatnot, but I can be just as effective as a corporal there as I can be elsewhere. Yeah. But they're the needs of the department, whatever. So I had to not turn my resume in for corporal, and that raised a couple of flags, to be honest with you. And
I bet it probably did.
I got some phone calls, and I after I explained it to them, they were actually reasonable and they understood.
Wow, I'm
Yeah,
surprised there wasn't a transfer notice the next day. All right,
right.
fine. We'll show
Well,
you.
I mean, I got a, well, at least I think I do. I got a fairly good reputation. My file's real thin, so I think that I've established myself as my police identity. Definitely not my identity as a person, but my police identity is that of a motor officer, and I do my job even 17 years later just as good as I did back when I was young and hungry with it. So
Yeah.
I think
Well,
that's why they leave me alone.
um, now motors, you get to go fast, right? Wind in your hair, bugs in your teeth.
Eh,
Uh,
it's a Harley, man. It only goes so fast.
well, okay, granted. Um, but that um, draw actually started from Jam Racing.
Oh man, I can't believe you even remember the name of that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah,
easy. Yeah.
yeah, it's my initials, but
It
still, I still
is.
can't
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah. Jesse A. Myers.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
It was the
yeah,
jam, though. It was the
it
jam.
was, it was. I had some good times, and uh, yeah, well, I was lucky enough to spend about 10 years of my life driving race cars, which was a lot of fun.
And
I've
better
done
than
a little
selling
bit of
used cars.
everything. I've done a little bit of everything, man. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie, but yeah, I was lucky enough to spend 10 years of my life driving race cars. So.
Dirt track?
No, it was always asphalt. I did
Was
race
it?
one
Okay.
time on dirt. One of my sponsors, they had a dirt car also, and their driver couldn't race that night. I did race one time on dirt. It's dirty. Didn't
And
like it.
didn't like it?
I'm a
No.
clean kid.
Take
I don't
take
like
the
it dirty.
goggles off and you could
Dirt
see
goes
the
everywhere.
dirt.
Oh, goes everywhere, man. I hated it. Didn't even do that good, to be honest with you.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
no.
Well, all right. Um, so 23 years, two real positions within the police department.
Pretty much
Um,
that's it. Yeah.
yeah. What's next? Because I know one of our other Academy brothers and someone that I know you're really close with, Thad,
Yep.
just retired.
He did like two
Yeah.
months ago.
And he was on the motors for a long time as well.
Yeah, he spent I think 13 years on motors with me. I think it was
Yeah.
13. Yeah, we
So
were daily.
what
Man, we spent every day together. It's good times.
he's a good man.
He
He's a
is.
good man.
There's no doubt.
What's next for Jam?
So, let's not. Maybe I can get back to racing. That doesn't sound bad. I would love to do that, but no, that's too much money, man. God, I used to spend so much
It's
time.
it's not a cheap sport.
Yeah, no. That once my kids came, that's when I had to give that up because they took
Yeah.
all my money. So, uh,
Right? That's not going to change, my friend. That's not
no,
going to
no,
change.
no. I got one as a senior, man. She's graduating, heading off to UNG next year. So,
Oh, good for
uh,
her.
I know. We're really proud, really, really proud of her. She's got some big aspirations, but I think what's next for me is I've always had a little bit of the entrepreneurial spirit. I've
Okay.
tried a lot of different businesses, and some of them successful, and some of them not. Um,
Same, same, same,
yeah,
same.
right. Yeah, we actually are kindred spirits that way for sure.
We
There's no
are.
doubt
Yeah.
about it. We've tried a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So starting a nonprofit, one of the things and you might be the same way, but one of the things I really like about starting businesses is the starting of it, like the building
Mm-hmm.
of it, and that's like what really excites me. With the nonprofit, I get to almost redo that every time with a different family. So, um,
Right.
and yeah, it's like a total rebuild every time that like it because everybody wants something different, right? So,
Right.
okay, this is what you like. Well, let me set it up for you specifically, so I get to rebuild almost every time, even though it's the same premise, but I get to rebuild. So I'd really love to build it over the next 4 or 5 years before I retire, to where that's what I do full time.
Well, this is a great segue into the introduction of the foundation. So start at the very beginning and
Okay.
tell us how this was birthed
Sure.
and um, what it does, who it's for, and then how these people out here can get involved.
Absolutely. So it's me and Thad. You bring up Thad. Me and
Mhm.
Thad. We would every day we would take a half hour break. He'd get a cup of coffee. I'd get a cup of tea. I'm a little bit more highfalutin than he is, so I got to get tea.
Uh,
Uh,
Pinky up.
right, exactly. So I'm a high maintenance tea drinker, but
Okay.
um, every day we would go, and it started out just with the idea that we wanted to give back somehow, some way, right? Like maybe we could sponsor a family for Christmas or whatever, and get their kids some Christmas gifts and stuff like that. And we did some small stuff here and there, help some people out. And then one of the other officers on our unit, his wife got really, really sick, and they they were struggling monetarily wise with medical bills and stuff like that. So I decided, let's see if we can do a fundraiser for them. Some sort of fundraiser. And of course, I don't do anything small, and I don't do anything.
No. Nope.
Oh man, I don't.
Nope.
Drives my wife nuts. Don't tell her so
Yeah.
that I
No.
agree with it. But if I always look at it, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to jump in 2 feet and fake it till I make it, and
Hmm.
make it seem like I know what I'm doing. But even I don't have a clue most of the time, and that's still to this day. So I was like, yeah, let's do a fundraiser, and I'm like, what can we do? Well, maybe we can just have some, just ask around an apartment. Maybe we can do this. Maybe we can do that. And I was like, nah. I was like, let's just have like a whole thing. Like, let's get a venue, and we'll do like a car show, and we'll have a band, and we'll have a silent auction and blah blah blah. Like, like I'll have vendors there that'll pay us to be there, and they're like, you're never gonna pull that off. Like, when do you want to do this? And this was like August, and I'm like, September. And they're like, no, that's never gonna happen. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. That's never going to happen. I'm like, let's push it to November. So in 3 months, I built this, I built this fundraiser for him and his family. And, we ended up raising almost $17,000 for him.
Oh,
I had,
wow.
I had almost 100 cars at a car show. I had a band. I had all kinds of stuff, donated to like trips and all kinds of stuff, and we ended up between everything we almost raised 17 it was like $16,800 or something like that, almost
Wow.
$17,000. So that kind of got me, and I brought everybody in, like Thad and all the other guys on the unit. They were all involved, and they helped out, and they did a great job. I would have never been able to do it by myself. There's no way. I got lucky. A VFW post let us use their area for
Mm.
free, and like I got everything taken care of, donated. A local church donated all the burgers and hot dogs and buns and stuff like that. They let me go over to Costco and buy all that stuff, and they paid for it. So it ended up being a really good thing, and man, did it feel good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
Um, I mean, so much work in such a short amount of time, but God, it felt so good to be able to help out and get them pointed in the right direction again. So they didn't have to worry about some of the bills and whatnot. And I did that all without being able to give people anything to write off on their taxes.
Right.
So, the fact that could be pulled off without being an actual 501c3, which gives you the ability to then um, give them a tax write-off slip. I was blown away by how well it turned out,
Right.
and that kind of got the bug going a little bit. And I second guessed myself a lot and just couldn't pull the trigger on actually starting something for a long time. But then finally, I was just like, you know what? I got to do it. So I reached out to, a couple people that I'm close with, you being one of them, Thad being another, my wife's on the board, and then another one of the officers that still currently works with us. He is too. And because to become a 501c3, you have to have that kind of support with other
Right.
people, have board members, that vote on things and do this and do that. But and I appreciated y'all stepping up for sure, which allowed me to get it established. I launched at a really bad time as far as what you can launch in. So really, we got stunted
Yeah.
by like a year and a half, and
Yeah.
it's just getting going. Um, just now, really. It's starting to pick up some speed, and we've been able to help a few people out, and it's been really nice.
Yeah. So I say we because again, I
Your
have a
part.
very small part in this,
We're
but
gonna get you more involved, though. We're gonna.
yes,
I know you're busy. I know you're busy. You got a lot of irons in the fire, but we're gonna get
that's
you
still
more
no
involved.
excuse. Still no excuse, But the foundation have already helped the first person, which was a big deal, right?
Yeah,
Going through the selection process and finding the
yeah.
family and being able to start that healing process.
And they're a wonderful family too.
They are, yeah. So tell us, I say us, tell them,
Yes.
um, what is the premise and how did you come up with it?
All right. So the premise is kind of a combination of Make a Wish a little bit and Bert's Big Adventure. If anybody from the Atlanta area is familiar with that, that's it's kind of a mix of those two things, right? So Bert's Big Adventure helps kids with terminal illnesses find some happiness by taking them to Disney World, right?
Mhm.
And it's all expenses paid for the family, and to make sure the medical people are there, but all that stuff, right? So families don't have to worry about anything. And then Make a Wish is everybody knows what Make a Wish is, right?
Right. Yeah.
People are in a tough situation. They want to do this, this specific thing before their time is up here, and Make a Wish helps make that happen, right? So, kind of a combination of those two things, where we get in contact with families that are first responder families, law enforcement, fire services, that includes EMTs, and military is also, we're working on expanding because that is a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
it's a lot bigger than law enforcement, and it's, I mean, way bigger than fire services. But fire services is probably the smallest section of that type of family, and then law enforcement, and then the military. But we're working on building up and adding those to it, where we take something that they love to do, right, as a family prior to the devastation that they had to go through. And a lot of times they don't feel comfortable going back to that thing, right? So we take it and we twist it a little bit so we can start new memories and get them back on that path to knowing that they can feel comfortable doing these things without the person that they lost, and not feel guilty about it, and realize that can actually be a healing thing. Um, like the first family that we helped was the Dixon family.
Mhm.
And for those of you that aren't familiar with them, Blaine Dixon, he was an officer in Hall County. He was trying to stop a car that was involved in some robberies and breaking into cars, and they took off running. Uh, Ended up getting out of the car, and unfortunately, Blaine Dixon got in a firefight with him, and a gunfight, and his life was unfortunately taken. Um, so I wanted them to be one of the first families because they were actually one of the families that one of the reasons why I decided to take the next step in this process. So I wanted them to be the
Mm.
first family. They I live in Hall County, so it hit home,
Right.
and the initial idea started after our department lost an officer ourselves. And that was that was the moment I said, absolutely, we got to do something. What are we going to do? And then we started coming up with ideas. But Blaine Dixon's family, Blaine Dixon himself was the catalyst that put it over the edge. So that was really important for me, for them to be the first family.
Right. Okay. And from there, how many families in total have we helped?
We're at like 3 right now, but you got to realize that we launched February of 2020,
Right.
and I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but in March of 2020, the world shut down.
Really?
Yeah, I know, it's weird times.
No,
Basically, doors shut. We're
I,
not accepting anything more.
I didn't know this.
Yeah,
I had
yeah, it
no
was
idea.
weird times.
Yeah, no
Well, you're
idea.
lucky then. You're
Okay.
lucky. So, launching in February 2020 and the world shutting down in March of 2020,
Yeah.
it was a very difficult beginning.
Yeah.
And then in May of 2020, I'm not sure if you know what happened then, but there was a real important law enforcement situation that happened then with George Floyd. So
No. I missed that.
you missed that too.
Yeah, I missed
Yeah,
that.
there was weird times. There was a bunch of riots and stuff. It kind of got weird, but
And
that didn't help.
no, because nobody cared.
At that point, nobody
Yeah,
cared.
nobody
Yeah,
cared.
it's like the world went completely against all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, Blaine Dixon family, we helped them in earlier in 2021. So then it was April of 2021 was really, so that was like a year and a couple of months before we actually even did anything because of all those situations.
Right.
But the good thing about them, man, is they knew exactly what they wanted, right?
Right.
So it made it easy. They
Yeah.
for 32 years, I think is what Blaine's father told me. 32 years they went on a beach vacation to Myrtle Beach every year. The whole family.
The whole
Like
family.
all of them. Yeah, all of them. All of them. Like so when Blaine got killed, they couldn't bring themselves to do it. To go back there, like, and they felt guilty, you know, to doing what they love to do as a family. They felt guilty doing it without him.
Right.
So what we did was we twisted it and we switched it to still the beach vacation because they love the beach, to a different beach, and that's all it took was
There you
just
go.
switching it to a different beach, man. And they said that it was the most healing thing that they've gone
That's
through
awesome.
as a family since his passing. And it ended up being even more important than I even realized, because their grandfather went and he ended up passing away 2 weeks later.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was like, he was there and they got to do the whole family trip, and they got to do that. They got to restart that one more time again.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With him still there, and then he ended up passing away 2 weeks later. They contacted me and let me know that they really appreciated the opportunity and that it became even more meaningful.
That's awesome.
So,
Well,
and then we got a couple of smaller other ones in there that we've thrown in, but that was the main one that we've worked on, and now we're working on a new program that we hope to put into effect next year.
you want to elaborate, or you want to hold off and?
No, we can elaborate.
Okay. What's on the docket for next year?
I've made a slight announcement with it. We're going to call it Years of Honor. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to find 3 deserving families that they've always wanted to go to Disney World. And when I say 3 deserving families, that's how we're going to bring the military into it now. Is we're going to do 1 law enforcement family, 1 fire services family, and 1 military family, and we're going to send them to Disney World. And
Wow.
And hopefully we can get enough funding to really put them up in some of the nicer hotels and do some of the nicer things.
So that's another great segue. How can folks help? How can they find us, and how can they help?
Sure. So obviously you can find us on all social media, every bit of social media except for I don't do Snapchat.
Okay.
All social media, the @ A Heroes Family.
Okay.
All right. That's every social media is that way. And then our website is aheroesfamily.org. So it's all across the board the same.
Okay.
It makes it real easy for people to find us.
And we'll have that down here for you guys that are watching once this
Yeah,
gets posted.
perfect.
Yeah.
It's and then obviously through the website or through Facebook or Instagram, you can do donations through that way, and you can also text. There's a text number too. I don't
Okay.
know if I sent that to you or not. If I did, I'll send it to you.
Let's see. No,
Okay, I will send you
I
the text number
I
so you
have
can
the
add
show
that.
notes, and it's
Gotcha.
not there.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not there.
I will. I'll send that to you so you can post that too. But you
Okay.
can text to donate also.
So explain the selection process. Like how can somebody say nominate a family?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. You can nominate yourself, or you can nominate a family that you know of offhand that has lost someone in the line of duty. Um, you can do it through our website. There's a form you can fill out and nominate right directly through the website at theheroesfamily.org.
okay, that's awesome, and it's
But
super easy, right?
yeah, yeah.
And I think this next uh, announcement is going to be good for everybody involved because much like you mentioned with the Dixon family, there's something in here being a part of this that feels good, knowing that it's helping out there.
Oh man, there's no other way to describe it other than it's amazing when you actually get to help somebody.
Yeah, yeah, and very few people believe it when we say that we get into this career field to actually help people. Right? It's not about writing tickets. Not always about finding bad guys and putting bad guys in jail. Most of the time, we do very small things repeatedly with all kinds of people on a daily basis. And the whole purpose is to help them with whatever that
Right.
issue is. And to be able to take that same mentality and put it on a scale like this is awesome for
Yeah.
both the giver and the receiver.
Yeah. Absolutely. There's no feeling better than doing that. And we do. You're right. We do it on a daily basis, and it's usually the stuff that gets overlooked.
Yeah,
Honestly,
yeah,
that people just take as normal.
right.
Like oh, okay, well that was just expected. But in reality, it's the little things that we're doing, and it's the ripple effect that we don't even know
Yeah,
how we've helped.
yeah.
You know.
Well, we are sitting at right at about an hour. This has been a great show and some good memories from the old days. Anything you want to share that I left out?
Uh, I don't. I can't think of anything that that really stands out. I mean, I've been really lucky. I got I got a lot of things that I'm really excited about in the future, and we've talked about all that stuff. Um, no, no, that's about it. Um, I do miss you in this line of work, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was a good line of work for you. You did a good job.
I appreciate
So
that. Yeah,
you miss it?
almost on a daily basis,
Yeah,
and then it rains.
yeah,
Yeah, so I always had this measurement of suck, right? Like, and that was well, at least it's better than working a wreck in the rain. So
yeah.
yeah, that was like the ultimate suck.
It was.
Especially if it
It
was
is
the beginning of the shift and then you spend the rest of the shift in soaking wet polyester.
right.
Um, yeah. Oh, so quick question:
Sure.
were you a tucker or an untucker?
Am I a tucker or an untucker?
Mhm.
You're gonna have to elaborate. Tucker of what?
Rain jacket. We were just talking about working Rex in the rain.
Rain jacket.
The
Okay.
rain jacket. Yeah. Were you a tucker or a non-tucker?
Okay, I'm a non-tucker.
Oh God. All right. All right. I mean,
You're a tucker? Yeah, you know what? I remember you being a tucker, actually.
Yeah.
Now that you say that.
Do
No,
you
I'm a
remember?
non-tucker.
Do you remember a very specific Canadian, Steve Shaw?
Yeah.
Well, Marine Corps veteran
Yeah.
was, and Jamie Conklin.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Right?
there's name I haven't heard in a while.
Yeah, Army veteran. Both those were my two first FTOs down at Westside.
Okay.
And they were both tuckers because it made your uniform look neater, more squared away than the poncho hanging over everything.
I can't argue that fact, but I also don't like to take all my bullets out of my mags and dry them. So that's why I was not a tucker.
I never did that. Never.
You should have. You should have probably.
Well, with the Smith that we carried, yes, absolutely, because there was this one time that I chased a perp through a creek, and was in like chest high water, pulling myself through the creek with roots, and I got to the top of the bank on the other side, and there was perp holding a gun, and as I was drawing, he turned and ran, and I slipped back down into the creek. And at the end of the shift, when I went home to clean my gun, that Smith, I couldn't get the slide to rack. There was so
Rusty
much
rails, man.
Well, it was all the was it silt, and trash from the creek. There was like a small piece of twig. I mean, it would have gone boom one time.
Yeah.
But the slide would never have racked.
You're 100% right. You know how I know that is I may have been on the range with somebody where their gun went boom one time and then they had rusty rails and it would not fire anymore.
Oh,
that's not a me story. I'm telling you right now.
Okay, sure.
Oh, no. 100%.
Yeah, that's
we
Smith.
Nicknamed him Rusty. You would talk about nicknames. We nicknamed him Rusty Rails.
Oh, he earned that one. Yeah, he earned that one.
He was not appreciative of that nickname either.
I bet he wasn't.
No, they had a hammer, like a mallet. They had a mallet. Like that was the only way they could get it to break free.
I cleaned every time I went to the range. I cleaned mine. I never. Here's what I did. I didn't dry my bullets. I didn't take them out and dry them. But on my off days, they always came out of the magazine and they sat on the counter.
Oh yeah, no.
So the spring
didn't.
Did it. Yeah,
you did a different way, but they might always come out after it rains, and I'll dry them up.
No, I didn't do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, now with the Glocks, you don't have to worry about that because Smith.
Luckily, neither one of us have ever had to worry about that situation so far. So I've been lucky enough. I've been close a couple of times.
Yeah, that was the closest. Luckily, that was the closest. I mean, had I not slipped, that gun would have gone bang.
Yeah. I've been putting pressure to the trigger before, and had people drop the knife or whatever. So that last second, right? And for those that have never been in that situation, that takes forever. Like you've made that commitment. You're starting to squeeze on that trigger, and thankfully they drop whatever it is, or they do whatever it is, because everything goes slow motion, man. It's really weird.
It is
a really weird situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been shot at one time. You remember that? You were still working for us when Duluth, I found out later. I thought it was the bad guy shooting at me, but I found out later it was Duluth that almost killed me. But that's neither here nor there.
They've shot their own people before, so
yeah, they were shooting hand cannons through they were going all the way through the house, and I was behind the house.
Yeah, same call. Yeah, that same call. Yeah, they shot one of their own
people. Yeah, that was two actually.
Was it two? One took it in the leg.
Took it in the cheek. Yeah, one took it in the leg, one took it in the cheek.
That's right.
And when I talk to the cheek, I'm talking about the ass cheek.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. Yeah. And they were carrying those stupid 5.57 or the FIN 57.
Yeah, that's FIN 57. Man, those hand cannons, man. They were freaking shooting all the way through the house because there was nothing that would stop them.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I was the first Gwinnett officer on that. And they're like, oh, go behind the house. We don't got nobody behind us if he tries to get out. I'm like, yeah, okay. But bullets are hitting trees all around me. I'm like, what the?
The Matrix.
Yeah, man. I held down an anthill. Like, I ain't never been so small in my life. I'm telling you right now. And then I crawled my ass back to the foundation of a house and was like hiding behind the foundation. I couldn't even see the house, and I got bullets hitting all over around me.
Crazy. Yeah. That reminded me. Do you remember the hell's name of that movie with Clint Eastwood, The Gauntlet?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, where they surround the house and there's like 20 deputies in Arizona and they just light this house up and then it just falls down on top of itself.
Yeah. That's basically pretty close.
Yeah. And then every house around had holes in it.
Yeah. They sent like 280 rounds into that house or something like that.
Kids, don't do this at home.
Yeah, do not. Do not.
Anyway, not to Monday morning quarterback an entire department for a couple officers.
They've been good ever since. It's been fun.
Yeah.
I got trust issues with them, but they've been good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they also try to pull us over running code through the city. You know,
they did that one time. Yeah. They actually did pull a state trooper over once. He actually pulled over. He was running code like to go to get something, and they pulled him over.
You know what? I'm thinking back now, knowing what I know now. Back then, I'd probably pull over now and be like, "What?"
Right. And the trooper was like, from what I understand, the trooper was like, "You know that I can take away all your permits for this stuff, right? Because we give you the right to have those permits." He's like, "I am on my way to something."
Yeah. Anyway, so any final thoughts?
Nah, man.
One last plug. Where can people find you?
Yeah, go to heroesfamily.com or .org, heroesfamily.org, and any social media is at a Heroes Family. Come find us. Come
find us indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for spending this last hour with Jesse A. Myers, Jam, a.k.a., and learning more about the foundation and what it does. And please, if you have it in your heart, this is me reaching out to you. If you have it in your heart, it's a good cause, helps great people in bad times. Give to your heart's content, and for those that need it, it does now have the ability to issue you a what's it called? I should know this. My wife's a CPA. Yes, tax receipt. Yes, I should know this. My wife's a CPA. I should. So, episode 23, folks, is now in the books. And Jesse, brother, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing some stories and some insight and the mission. Folks, until next time, stay safe, be well, and we'll see you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, brother. Be good.
All right, you too.
The Knock&Talk Show is a certified veteran-hosted podcast. Show your support, tune in, share, and subscribe.